Imagine for a moment that a hidden force guides many of your thoughts, desires, and even decisions, and you don't even realize it. Now imagine how much of your behavior is influenced not by logic or conscious decisions, but by something primordial, ancient, and deeply buried in your mind. What if I told you this power is linked to sex, not to the act itself, but to the psychological energy it represents? Today, we are discovering a truth that many resist, but no one can escape: the undeniable power of sexuality over the human psyche, and what the legendary Carl Jung discovered about what we repress. Stay tuned, because the final revelation, in Part 4, is the most formative of all. It reveals not only why this force is in charge, but also how you can reclaim it and transform your life. Sex, a word that triggers a cascade of reactions: desire, shame, confusion, power. But why? Why does it carry such weight in the human mind? The answer begins with a question. Is sex a mere physical need, or the gateway to something much deeper? Carl Gustav Jung believed that sex was much more than biological. He viewed it as a symbolic expression of psychic energy, the libido. It is not just sexual desire, but the pure life force that animates all creativity, emotions, and actions. This idea refuted the more restrictive view of his predecessor, Freud, who favored sexual repression as the cause of neurosis. Jung went even further. He argued that when sexual energy is misinterpreted, denied, or diverted, it becomes a hidden force that distorts our behavior, relationships, and self-image. Just think of how society treats sexuality. Censored, commercialized, exploited, suppressed. What happens when something so fundamental to our being isn't consciously integrated into our essence? It doesn't disappear, it hides, and from that hidden place it begins to manipulate us. Jung called it the shadow, that part of ourselves that we reject, suppress, or ignore. And in the shadows lies our unknown sexuality. This means that parts of our sexual identity, our fantasies, our desires, our vulnerabilities, all those parts we've learned to deny or hide, still live within us, only they now control us from the shadows. Ask yourself to what extent your behavior, your insecurities, your emotional reactions, and your judgment of others are influenced by desires and fears you haven't yet fully explored. How many of your inner conflicts arise from your attempt to detach yourself from your own instincts? Jung observed that repressing sexuality doesn't purify the soul, but fragments it, and this fragmentation leads to what modern psychologists consider a form of inner separation, a gap between our conscious personality and the unconscious forces that drive us. Let's dig a little deeper. Your image, your social mask, is what you present to the world. It is selected, controlled, and accepted. But beneath this mask, in your subconscious, lie aspects that you don't want others to see. Sexual shame often plays a major role, and this is precisely where the danger lies. What is not consciously perceived is projected outward. You see it in others. You judge it. It affects you. But in reality, it's a mirror, a reflection of your own disowned parts. This is why Jung emphasized that personal development requires individuation, the process of integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of the self, including and especially our sexual energy. What you repress controls you, but what you integrate empowers you. Many people seek spiritual growth, emotional healing, or even creative inspiration without realizing that they are disconnected from the source that animates everything. This source is the libido, the creative sexual energy that yearns not only for release, but also for expression. Ignored, it becomes distorted and transforms into obsession, shame, fear, or addiction. When we accept it, it transforms into vitality, self-confidence, and depth. But how do we recognize what we've repressed? Let's start by observing our reactions. What makes you uncomfortable in others? What makes you angry or arouses excessive curiosity? These are signs. Your subconscious is constantly trying to speak to you through dreams, fantasies, and projections. This is precisely why Jung analyzed dreams. They reveal symbols of our inner world, unfiltered by our waking defense mechanisms. And sex in dreams rarely simply means sex. It often symbolizes union not with another person, but between parts of oneself. So what do we avoid internal union with? Jung believed that within every man resides the anima, the inner feminine, and within every woman the animus, the inner masculine, These archetypes are closely linked to our experience of love, intimacy, and connection. If undeveloped, they lead to relationship problems. If developed, they lead to deeper fulfillment. But this development requires facing our sexual and emotional shadows, not running away from them. Do you realize now how much of your life is silently shaped by what you haven't allowed yourself to feel? Sexual repression isn't just a matter of moral values. It's about psychic fragmentation. It's about losing access to a part of one's life force. The modern world often oscillates between two extremes, overwork and excessive restriction. But true integration involves neither complacency nor denial. It's awareness. It means seeing sexual energy as it really is. It's neither a threat nor a sin, but a signal from the soul. Below, we explore how this energy shapes your identity, your goals, and your relationships. We examine the real reasons society prevents you from accessing your sexual truth. And most importantly, we show you how to reclaim this power, not to control you, but to transform you. Before you continue, ask yourself, what part of myself have I suppressed out of fear of judgment? What desire have I repressed because I believed it was wrong? And what might change in my life if I stopped running away from it? Because by understanding what you've been repressing, you may finally begin to understand who you really are. Now that we've opened the door to the hidden depths of sexual energy in the psyche, we must explore the labyrinth of human behavior, where desire and denial lurk in the shadows, and where most people unconsciously lose themselves. If sexuality is one of the most powerful forces in the human mind, why are so many people afraid to examine it honestly? Why is it so strictly regulated by culture, religion, and even identity itself? Carl Jung knew why. For sexuality isn't just about desire, it's about power. And unconscious power is dangerous. Libido, as Jung understood it, is the life force that drives our ability to connect, to create, to feel, and to be. But what happens when this force is repressed for too long? It doesn't disappear. It transforms, it warps. This turns into anxiety, compulsive behaviors, secret obsessions, and even violent outbursts. Jung wrote that whatever we repress becomes part of the shadows, and the longer it remains hidden, the more chaos sets in, trying to break through. Have you ever been overwhelmed by a sudden emotion? A desire, a fear, without knowing where it came from? These are signs that something in your subconscious is trying to speak to you. Sexual repression isn't just a personal struggle. It's a collective legacy from religious dogmas that equate lust with sin to the hypersexualized modern media that commercializes and objectifies it. We find ourselves trapped in a paradox. On the one hand, sex is everywhere, on screens, in advertising, in everyday conversations. And yet, honest, candid conversations about sexual energy, intimacy, shame, and emotional connection are rare. We see the body, but not the soul that inhabits it. Jung warned us, the further we move away from our inner truth, the more we are dominated by archetypes we have not integrated. The prostitute, the seductress, the victim, the dominator. These are not just social roles. They are psychological patterns that manifest in us when our relationship with sexuality is immature or repressed. So the question isn't whether sex controls your mind. It's to what extent that control is exercised unconsciously. Let's dig a little deeper. There is a profound difference between sexuality and sensuality. Sensuality is the ability to feel deeply and connect with life through the senses. It is the basis of intimacy, not only with others, but also with oneself and with existence. When we repress our sexual energy, we don't just lose desire. We also lose our presence. We become distant, anxious, and insensitive. We seek distractions, addictions, or overstimulation to compensate for the inner separation. Jung believed that healing begins with becoming aware of what has been banished, observing it not with judgment but with curiosity. Why do you feel the way you do? Who taught you to view your body, your desires, and your needs as shameful or dangerous? And more importantly, what would it look like to reclaim this part of yourself, not through rebellion, but through integration? Dream analysis is one of the most powerful tools Jung uses to explore the unconscious. In dreams, symbols bypass the waking mind's defense mechanisms. Dream sex rarely indicates physical desire. It more often evokes a psychological union, a desire for integration. If you dream of intimacy, connection, or even taboo experiences, your subconscious may be trying to discover where the discrepancies lie between your inner masculine and feminine aspects. The union of opposites, which Jung called conjunctio, is a central theme of psychological alchemy. It is the fusion of light and shadow, masculine and feminine desire and reason. And in every human being, this inner connection must occur to achieve fulfillment. So ask yourself again, what do my dreams reveal about my hidden desires? What fantasies do I condemn but secretly yearn to understand? What part of myself have I been afraid to be? Our culture has instilled in us the fear of this exploration. It rewards superficial stimulation, but punishes deep stimulation. This is no accident. A person connected to their true sexual energy, not manipulated by it, but in harmony with it, gains power. Why? Because they are no longer controlled by shame. They are no longer as easily manipulated by external validation. They no longer seek recognition in systems that thrive on separation. Therefore, reclaiming repressed sexual energy is not just personal. It's revolutionary. It's spiritual. It's a psychological liberation. Modern psychologists have taken up Jung's ideas. In his book, The Body Keeps the Score, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk shows how trauma, particularly sexual trauma or repression, takes root in the nervous system and influences behavior. Emotional regulation and self-perception. The only way out is awareness, embodiment, the feeling of what has been forbidden to you. You cannot heal what you do not perceive, and you cannot face what you do not acknowledge. The moment you stop running away from your own sexuality, you discover something sacred, your truth. And the truth doesn't always appear as we imagine. It can be accompanied by pain, grief, and anger. But behind it lies strength, for what has been repressed for the longest time is often precisely the energy we need to heal, grow, and evolve. You were not meant to live fragmented. You are not meant to be controlled by secret forces. You are destined for fulfillment, and fulfillment requires courage. In the next section, we'll discover how this energy affects your relationships, not just romantic ones, but also your connection to others and yourself. We'll reveal why most people are trapped in patterns of attraction that reflect their wounds rather than their desires. And most importantly, we'll show you how to break free from these patterns and experience true intimacy. But before you go any further, consider this. What would your life look like if you stopped fearing your own depths? Who could you become if you embraced every part of yourself, even the ones that once frightened you? There's no need to ask this question out loud. But let these questions resonate with you, for they are not mere questions. They are invitations to see, feel, and transform. Now that we have explored the profound influence of repressed sexual energy on the psyche, it is time to examine how this energy affects an equally central aspect of our lives, our relationships. Because what we repress internally doesn't remain silent. It expresses itself through the way we love, desire, and suffer. Carl Jung believed that relationships are like mirrors, revealing what is unresolved within us. We are attracted not only to the people we love, but also to those who activate unconscious elements we have not yet assimilated. Think about it. How many times have you felt inexplicably drawn to someone who excites you, frustrates you, or even hurts you? Yet you can't seem to break away. It's not a coincidence. It's projection. Jung taught that projection is the process by which we project our own characteristics, desires, fears, and unacknowledged wounds onto another person. And this is especially evident in romantic and sexual relationships. If we don't face our own shadow, we fall in love with what we lack inside. Our partner becomes a symbol of our hidden self. This is why passion can be so intense, because it's not just about our partner, it's about rediscovering what we've lost inside. The problem is that when the illusion fades, we often feel betrayed. But they haven't changed. It's the projection that has dissipated. And what remains is the harsh reality. Two people, each with their own dark side, each hoping the other will heal what they themselves have avoided. This is why sexual repression isn't just a personal problem. It's a relational wound. When you separate yourself from your own desire, your emotional body and your sensuality, you can't truly meet the other. You can only connect, not feel. True intimacy, emotional, psychological, and physical, requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is impossible when shame dominates your inner world. So ask yourself, am I showing my whole self in my relationships, or only the version I consider acceptable? Am I letting others see my true nature, or only the parts I have learned to control? What part of myself am I still afraid to share because I have not yet fully accepted it? Jung believed that wholeness comes not from perfection, but from integration. It means loving even what seems unlovable in us, our needs, our suffering, our yearnings. This is the path to individualization. We become a unified being, not a fragmented representation. Consider how much modern romantic relationships rely on image culture. We cultivate our personalities, repress our true needs, and fear that someone will abandon us if they discover our raw truth. But the real tragedy isn't that others abandon us. It's that we abandon ourselves at the same time. This abandonment begins with separation from sexual truth. Many people associate sex with performance, validation, and control. But awakened sexuality is none of these things. It is presence. It is vulnerability. It is a surrender not to the other, but to the present moment, to oneself, to the divine intelligence of the body. The body doesn't lie. When we feel safe, it softens. When we're afraid, it tenses up. When we disconnect, it goes numb. And all of this, every sensation, every reaction is information. Your body is the subconscious, expressing itself through sensations. To listen is to awaken. To ignore it is to live in confusion. Carl Jung's work shows us that the psyche seeks balance. The unconscious always seeks conscious fulfillment. And even when relegated to oblivion, sexuality does not disappear. It explodes through jealousy, manipulation, infidelity, self-sabotage, and often through profound loneliness, even in the presence of others. Many people feel lonely today, not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of authentic connection. They don't fully recognize themselves. Think about the last time you felt truly seen, not just admired, but understood, not desired because of a mask, but valued for who you are. This kind of connection becomes possible when we stop hiding from our shadow, and sexual energy, consciously embraced, becomes the bridge between isolation and union, between shame and the sacred. This isn't about hedonism. This is about healing. This is about reclaiming the part of yourself that should never be silenced, the creative, passionate, and vibrant part. In ancient traditions, this energy was revered. In Tantra, for example, sexual energy is considered a sacred force, a gateway to higher consciousness, not because of the act itself, but because of the devotion, the intensity, the presence. It requires a complete fusion of body, mind, and soul. Jung saw similar themes in alchemy, the symbolic transmutation of base materials into gold. He believed that the true alchemical process was psychological. You take the unconscious, the chaotic, the repressed, and transform it through consciousness. Lead becomes gold. The sexual shadow becomes sacred power. But to do this, you must first face your fears, the guilt, the pain, the confusion. You must meet the younger version of yourself, the one who learned that desire is bad, love is dangerous, and pleasure is dangerous. And you must approach this version with compassion, not judgment, because without compassion there is no healing. And without healing, you will repeat the same patterns over and over again, under different guises, expecting a different outcome. What would your relationships look like if you stopped projecting your shadow and started integrating it? What intimacy could you create if you loved yourself enough to reveal your full self? And how might your life change if you stopped repressing the force that gives you life? In the final part, this will reveal the most important and powerful truth of all. It has the potential to transform not only your understanding of sexuality, but your entire existence. A revelation that combines everything we've explored into a single, transformative revelation. In the meantime, let it resonate within you. You were not meant to be divided, artist and I, mask and soul. We must reach wholeness, and this wholeness begins when we stop running away from who we are and begin to listen to what we have tried to ignore. We now arrive at the most important and powerful truth of all, the revelation that holds everything together. On this journey, we have seen how repressed sexual energy becomes shadow. We've seen how this distorts our perceptions, shapes our relationships, and causes us to live in fear rather than truth. But the deeper takeaway is this: the sexual energy we've been taught to fear is the same energy that creates worlds. This isn't a metaphor, it's the very truth of life. Carl Jung believed that libido, a central psychic energy, is not only linked to sexuality, it is the source of creativity, spirituality, vitality, and deep meaning. Those who repress it suppress not only desire, but also the ardor for personal development. This is the tragedy of modern life. We are taught to be productive without passion, efficient without being physically active, sociable without being emotional. And in this distortion, we become only half alive, functional but broken. Yet herein lies the revelation. The energy you repress is the very energy that can awaken you. When you reclaim it, not out of desire or rebellion, but out of wonder, you begin to rediscover your true self. You begin to feel, to imagine, to create, to love fully. Because this energy isn't just about sex, it's also about union. And union is the secret to everything. The union between body and soul, between masculine and feminine, between light and dark, between you and the divine. This is why Jung saw sexuality as a symbol of something much greater, the soul's desire to return to its source. In the psychology of transference, Jung speaks of the alchemical connection, the symbolic union of opposites within the self, the conium. This is not just a psychological theory, it is the roadmap for human evolution. By reuniting the fragmented parts of your psyche, the rejected, the ashamed, the hidden, you begin to radiate wholeness. And from this fullness, everything changes. You stop chasing relationships that reflect your wounds. You stop embodying unreal versions of yourself. You stop fearing desire and channel it into creation. Imagine living like this. Imagine waking up without conflict with your body, your emotions, your desire to live, but in harmony. Imagine that your desire is not something to be fixed, but something to be followed. For desire, in essence, is not a weakness. It is guidance. The desire to connect, to touch, to feel, to express, these are not problems. They are doorways. Every great artist, every true mystic, every visionary soul has experienced this. The energy bubbling beneath the surface is the same energy that creates visions. You cannot separate your soul from your sensuality. You cannot elevate yourself spiritually by repressing your instincts. You cannot live a full and meaningful life by hiding from your own power. This is the ultimate truth. What you have been taught to repress is the key to your liberation. Not only sexually, but also emotionally, creatively, and spiritually. Those who integrate their sexual energy do not become slaves to desire. They become masters of it. And through this mastery, they access what few achieve, the fullness of their being. So ask yourself, what were you afraid to feel? How much of your power did you give up because you were told it was dangerous? And what would it mean to reclaim it? Not through ego, but through love. For power does not reside in action, it lies in awareness. The ability to choose consciously, to feel fully, to form deep connections, to live fully. This is what Jung ultimately showed us, the path of individuation that leads to the fullness of being. And to get there, we must cross the places we have learned to avoid. We must confront our own shadow. You must make peace with your desire. You must bring your sexual energy out of the darkness and into the light. Not to flaunt it, but to honor it. It is the bridge between your inner world and the one you build around you. And once that bridge is sanctified, you begin to transform. You become less reactive, more grounded, more compassionate, more powerful. We begin to love not out of need, but out of fulfillment. We begin to create not out of lack, but out of abundance. We begin to live not out of repression, but out of soul. Let's be frank. Most people will never do this work. They remain in the dark, repressing, projecting, repeating. But if you persist, it's because something inside you is ready to remember what the world wanted you to forget. That your energy is sacred, that your truth is not shameful, and that your wholeness is your destiny. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not dangerous. You are simply powerful. And that power, once reclaimed, becomes living love. So if this message has reached you, let it penetrate beyond your mind. Let it resonate within you. Let it rediscover the parts of yourself you've buried. Creativity, passion, fire, the sacred, they haven't disappeared. They're simply waiting. And when you welcome them back, your life will change. Not because you've added anything to it, but because you've stopped hiding. What was repressed becomes sacred. The wounded become wise, the shadow becomes light. This is the path Jung showed us, and now it's your turn to walk it. Not tomorrow, not one day, but now, for the truth doesn't await you at the end of the road. It has always been within you. Thank you for your attention